Love the sound of that song. That's Belgian music star Stromae. And the song Moule Frite from his latest album, Racine Carrée. The album is an unlikely combination of styles, like French chanson, house, Congolese rumba, matched with lyrics that are noticeably darker than what you usually hear on the dance floor. He's been called, in fact, the voice of dejected youth in Europe. Stromae is currently on his first tour of North America, and right now he joins me live in Studio Q. Hello, sir.
Hello. Thank you for inviting me.
It's a great pleasure to have you.
Oh, thank you so much.
What a fantastic record you've made.
Thank you.
And you know, it's interesting because people have been talking about you coming on the show, and for most people who listen to the show across North America, they don't really know who you are. Mm-hmm. And yet, for folks in Montreal, or certainly anyone who's been in Europe anytime in the last 2 or 3 years, they're like, this guy's a superstar. Is it strange for you to come to a place where you're no longer, where you're not yet well known?
No, the success is strange for me. Still strange for me. I'm not like, and I don't want to consider myself like a superstar or something. I hate the word, actually.
Why do you hate the word?
Because it's not a job, star, you know what I mean? And sometimes we believe that it could be a job, but it's not a job to be a star. What does that mean? But, okay, even artist doesn't mean anything for me. I prefer just singer, composer, producer. That's jobs.
I mentioned that you're on this first North American tour, especially the English-speaking parts of North America. Anyways, your first time. You know, despite saying that you're relatively unknown, your show in Toronto is sold out. There is this buzz about you. Are you surprised about that in the Anglosphere?
Actually, yes, but to be honest, I was more surprised to be supported by non-French communities with the first album. Because for me, it wasn't possible to sing in French and be listened by a non-French community. Mm-hmm. And actually, the proof is that English music does exactly the same every time. We used to dance on English music that we cannot understand any words. We're just singing like one again and one again. Right. And it's enough, you know? Because actually, it's not about a language, but just about the music. And music is about feelings. And if you're sincere, that's the most important thing.
Paul, how does it affect you, though, when your lyrics have the kind of depth and meaning that your lyrics have? So, for example, the song we just played, Moule Frite, I read an English interview where the interviewer didn't realize that the song wasn't about Belgian fries, and in fact, it's about AIDS. And
as well,
yes. Does it bother you that people may not understand what you're singing about? How important is that to you in terms of the listener, the audience experience?
It's not a problem for me. Actually, you know, it's not my job to take what people want to take in my music. You know what I mean? I'm just making music for everyone wants to listen to it, and you decide to choose what you want to listen to.
But you're very specific about what you write. It's not frustrating to you if somebody doesn't understand?
Not at all. No. It's just snobism to say that, you know, because I'm not making music for intelligentsia or, for example, or dumb people or old people or black people or white people. I'm just making music, and white or dumb or intelligent, whatever, decided to listen what they want to listen to in my music. At the moment you release your album, it's not yours anymore, and that's what's really interesting.
You don't feel an ownership over your music?
Sometimes too much, but I think that's only the ego. That's only the ego, but it's not yours anymore.
What if somebody criticizes it and they don't understand what it's about? Then is it frustrating? Or do you still feel this generosity of anybody can say whatever they want about it?
I didn't understand, sorry. What?
If somebody criticizes a song of yours, and it's partly because they don't understand what the song is about, would that bother you?
I will try to explain to them, but if they don't like, I cannot do anything to, you know? I cannot convince them to love it.
That's a very, very generous attitude that you have. This song, Moule Frite, is, as we say, partly about AIDS. It's not the only song in which you express some darker themes, some important themes in your music. You've said that sometimes the songs are more angry and aggressive when you first write them, and then you end up fixing them so they don't sound as angry. Why is that? Why do you want to fix them to not be as angry?
It's not only because it was angry. I suppose you were talking about Papa Ute, for example.
Sure.
And the first version was, my problem is to be too personal in my music. That's my problem. Because when you are too personal, actually, you have no recul, you have no objectivity anymore. And I don't think my life is interesting. Actually, I prefer to tell your stories, you know, the stories about different people than me. My life as well, yes, but our lives. That's the most interesting.
Mm-hmm. So set this up for us. What was the song? How was the song personal originally, and how did you make it less personalized?
Actually, the first version was just a little bit aggressive because actually I didn't know my father very well. So the first version was maybe like this kind of teenager vision, like, okay, you were never been there for me, so that's my fine, something like that. And it wasn't really interesting. And the second version, which is the one on the album, was more a question about what's the father's job. And actually nobody's known what's the best father, you know.
Let's play a bit of this. Papa Ute from the record Racine Carrée. This is Stromae. Thank you. It was here in Studio Q from the record Racine Carrée. Fantastic record. This song is about missing fathers. Yes?
I prefer to say it's more the question about the father's job. I prefer to say that in place of the absence of the father. Even if the question is, where's your dad? Yes, but where's your dad? Where's your dad inside you as well? Mm-hmm. More general question.
And Paul, I know your father wasn't around for most of your childhood, and then he died when you were around 9 years old. Mm-hmm. This is in Rwanda.
Yes.
How have you reconciled that in terms of the question of where your father is inside you?
Somebody, I think it's Freud, who said that you become an adult when you forgive to your father, and I think that it's a time for me to be an adult because I understood that actually he just tried to do his best, and I will try to do my best, and my son will try to do his best. It's easy to criticize all the time, but when you are at his place, you have a different vision actually, and it's maybe I'm just becoming an adult, even if I don't want to. But
given that your songs address big issues and have also become top 40 hits in Europe, big hits, is that a surprise to you, or is that interesting to you? I mean, a lot of the top 40 hits that we would hear in North America tend to, in some cases, I don't want to generalize too much, but tend to be about the superficial, much more so than the issues you're addressing in your music. Is it refreshing, perhaps, that people are reacting to this, or, as you say earlier, it doesn't matter whether it's about the lyrics or not?
I'm not sure I get everything you said.
I'm not sure I got everything I said either. That's a very meandering question. Forgive me. I guess I'm remarking about how it's interesting that songs that are about big issues have also become big hits in Europe. And I wonder if you think that if part of it is people are reacting to what you're talking about, you know, beyond the catchy music and the melodies.
I'm still thinking that it's possible that even if people doesn't understand and don't want to translate the lyrics, they feel what I'm talking about because maybe it's something sincere, or I try to be so sincere that I'm sure they understand that. And I didn't know what I wanted to say, but you said something at the beginning of the second question. The second time you asked a question.
One of the many times I tried to ask that question. Yes,
I know. No, it's not big issues like you said. You were just talking about big issues. It's not big issues actually. It's just talking about humanity. So small, you know, a father, a mother, cancer. You know, yeah, of course, it's big issues. It's difficult things.
But it's not going to the club and drinking and you know.
Usually not. Yes.
Right.
Usually
I mean, it's a little more sophisticated lyrically. That's all I remember. You know, your biography suggests that you have a connection to people who are not just marginalized, but literally under attack. Your father was actually killed in the Rwandan genocide. You also grew up a mixed race in a white society. You grew up in a poor neighborhood. Do you feel, on some level, I know you don't want to impose your politics on people, but do you feel a sense of responsibility to speak up for marginalized people?
I don't know. I'm not. It's the beginning of another snobism as well. I have to be honest as well. I'm just actually 70%. I'm making music only for me, actually, and after that, like 20% for my family and 10% for the people. I'm sorry to say that, it's so selfish, but I prefer to be honest.
It's very honest. Yeah.
And otherwise, if I would compose this album for the people, if I have no success, what do I do? Just suicide or something. So that's the way I'm trying to focus on, just composing.
What if somebody were to say you're a role model? Would you be uncomfortable with that?
I used to say that I'm nothing except, and I'm just talking for myself.
Yes.
And
70% at least, yeah.
You're right. I'm just talking about our lives, yes, and we have so many common points that but I cannot speak in place of you, in place of somebody else.
I'm speaking to Stromae, the Belgian pop artist. His album is called Racine Carrée. He's here with me here in Studio Q. You've also said, Paul, that a big lesson you learned is that music and art are essentially bull.
No,
that they're useless. Did you mean it when you said that?
Useless, but not boobs. But
okay,
it's less useless than a farmer, a farmer or cooker or something. That's just
less
because
useful.
Sometimes
it's more useless than
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry. And actually, sometimes we want to put our job, creative jobs, on a pedestal or something, and I think it's the worst thing we can do, and that's why I was talking about star. Artists,
yes, I understand.
Which are those words who put our jobs like.
But at the same time, if you don't mind me challenging you, because you're a smart guy, and I don't want to hold back with you. Don't you think that art and that creativity, art, music can actually make a change?
Of course.
Move people, can crystallize, bring people together in very powerful ways. And I think, to be fair, I actually think you do that with your music.
Yeah, thank you. But I don't want to be extremist. I just want to do the opposite that we used to do. Okay, artists are just on a pedestal, and this job is so important. No, it's not so important.
But it's not useless. Will you accept that?
Almost useless, in the way of. If you want to do,
right.
First we want to eat,
Yes.
Second we want to reproduce, and at the end when we have.
But
time,
I also hate it when people say being an artist. I mean, I feel for artists when people say being an artist is a luxury, and
exactly.
You think that?
A little bit, yes.
Because I feel like
sure.
it undermines the power of what art can be. I feel,
Of course, but sometimes we put so many, attentes in
too much
music,
attention,
too much attention
focus,
in art, and yes.
It's a great pleasure having you here. It really is. I understand that after this tour, you want to take a few years off so that you can have
not this one now, but in September
2015.
Yes.
You want to have a normal life, you said.
Yes.
Do you think a normal life is possible at this point for you?
It's difficult. Sometimes it's, but I'm still believe it's possible.
And what is normal to you? What would normal be to you?
Good question.
Yeah.
I don't have the answer. I'm sorry, but I'm sure that being in a tour bus all the time is not a normal life. My life, it's maybe 33% of tour bus, 33% of interview, and 33% of composing and staying at home.
You've got a very mathematical way of looking at it. It's all percentages.
All the time, yes.
We've completed 98% of the interview, by the way. There's only 2% left. We're about to say goodbye. Un grand plaisir. A great pleasure.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, and do come back. I hope you can even come
With
and perform.
pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
The Belgian musician Stromae. He has upcoming shows in Chicago. If you're listening to us there, Minneapolis, Vancouver, you can get more information at stromae.net, STROMAE.net. Stromae has been with me here live in Studio Q. When Q